Chapter 1: The Confession After Death. I was holding her hand when she told me. The machines were quiet, softer than before, like they already knew the end was close. The room smelled like disinfectant and something bitter I couldn't name. I kept telling myself to stay strong. I kept telling myself this was goodbye. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked smaller than she ever had. Weak, fading. I leaned closer and whispered, "I'm here. You don't have to talk. Just rest." She shook her head. Her fingers tightened around mine. "No," she said. Her voice was thin, cracked. "I need to say this. If I don't, I won't be able to go." My chest tightened. "Say what?" She swallowed. Her eyes filled with tears. "I betrayed you." I froze. "What are you talking about?" She turned her face away, like she couldn't bear to look at me. "I had an affair." The word hit me harder than the machines ever could. I laughed once, short and sharp. "Stop. You're not thinking straight. You're tired." "I'm not," she said quickly. "Please, let me finish." I wanted to pull my hand away. I didn't. I felt like if I moved, the whole world would collapse. "How long?" I asked. Her lips trembled. "Years." The room spun. "Years." I repeated. "While we were married?" She nodded. "I loved you. I still do. But I was weak." I stood up. My legs felt numb. "Who?" She said his name. I won't write it here. Even now, it tastes ugly in my mouth. "And the child?" I asked, my voice low. "Say it isn't true." She closed her eyes. That was answer enough. I backed away until my shoulders hit the wall. My heart was pounding so loud I couldn't hear anything else. "You let me raise another man's child," I said. "You watched me love them. You let me believe." "I was scared," she cried. "I wanted a normal life. I thought I could keep it buried." "Buried?" I snapped. "You buried me." She reached for me again. "I'm telling you now because I don't want to carry this with me. I need you to know the truth." I stared at her. "So this is for you?" She didn't answer. I looked at her face. Pale, broken, desperate. For a moment, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger. I saw her soul stripped bare. Not evil, just selfish, afraid, human in the worst way. Tears slid down her cheeks. "Please forgive me." I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg. I wanted to rewind my life to before this moment. Instead, I asked, "Did you ever love me?" She nodded fast. "Yes, I swear." "Enough to lie to me every day?" She didn't speak. The machine beeped slower now. She squeezed my hand one last time. "The money, it's all written down. I left instructions. I thought you'd understand." I leaned in close. My voice was calm, too calm. "You don't get to decide what I understand." Her breathing became shallow. Panic filled her eyes. "Please don't hate me." I looked at her for a long time. "I don't hate you," I said. "But I don't know who you are anymore." Her grip loosened. Her eyes stayed on mine until the very end. Then they went empty. The machine screamed. Nurses rushed in. Someone gently pulled me aside. I heard words like time and sorry, and nothing more we can do. I didn't cry. I just stood there, staring at the body of the woman I thought I knew. She was gone, and she took my marriage with her. As I walked out of that room, one thought kept repeating in my head, clear and cold. She confessed to save her soul. Now I had to live with the truth. Chapter 2: The Child Who Was Never Mine. Before continuing to the next chapter, please subscribe, like, and comment below. Which part shocked you the most? Let me know. I met the child the next morning. They were sitting on a plastic chair outside the ICU, feet not touching the floor, swinging back and forth. Their hair was messy. Their eyes were red from crying. When they saw me, they jumped up. "Dad," they said. The word stabbed me. I stopped walking. For a second, I almost answered. My mouth opened out of habit, out of years of training my heart to respond to that name. Then I remembered her voice from the night before. "The child isn't yours." I swallowed. "Hey!" They frowned. "Why didn't you come back last night?" I looked away. Things were complicated. They stepped closer. Is Mom really gone? I nodded. Their face crumpled. They pressed their head into my chest and started crying. Loud. Messy. The kind of crying that doesn't care who's watching. My arms stayed at my sides. Inside, something was breaking. Outside, I stood still. A nurse watched us from the desk. A woman I didn't know whispered, "Poor kid, poor kid." I finally lifted one hand and rested it lightly on their shoulder. Felt wrong. Not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much for a lie. "I want to see her," they said. "Please." I hesitated. "She's resting." "That's what you said yesterday." I closed my eyes. "Okay, but just for a minute." Inside the room, everything looked colder in daylight. The bed was empty now. Sheets folded. No machines. No beeping. Just space where a life used to be. The child walked in slowly. "Where is she?" I pointed. That was her bed. They stared at it, confused. "Why is it empty?" "She's gone," I said quietly. They shook their head. "No. She promised she'd wake up." I didn't know what to say. I had no words left. They climbed onto the bed and hugged the pillow. "She smells like soap." I turned away. A doctor cleared his throat behind me. "Sir, we need to talk about arrangements." I stepped into the hallway with him. "Are you the biological father?" he asked. The word biological echoed in my head. "Yes," I said automatically. Then I stopped. "No," I corrected. My voice sounded strange. "I'm not." He blinked. "I'm sorry. I thought I was," I said. "But I'm not." His face softened. "I see. Then we'll need to contact the child's next of kin." "I am the next of kin," I snapped. He held up his hands. "Legally, maybe. But if there's another parent." "There is," I said. He waited. "The real father." The doctor nodded slowly. "Do you have his information?" I thought of the name she whispered as she died. I nodded. "We'll need time," he said gently. "This is a lot for everyone." "You think," I muttered. When I went back inside, the child was still sitting on the bed. "Are we going home?" they asked. "Home." I looked at them, their small hands, the face I had memorized, the face I had loved without question. "I don't know yet," I said. They stared at me. Did I do something wrong? My chest tightened. "No, of course not." "Then why won't you look at me?" I didn't answer. They slid off the bed. "Aunt Sarah said you'd take care of me." I clenched my jaw. "Aunt Sarah talks too much." They crossed their arms. "You're acting weird." I knelt down so we were eye level. "Listen to me. None of this is your fault. What happened has nothing to do with you." "Then why does it feel like you don't want me anymore?" The words hit harder than any slap. "I want the truth," I said before I could stop myself. They blinked. "What truth?" I stood up. "You're tired. Let's go sit." In the waiting area, people kept glancing at us. Some looked at me with pity. Some with judgment, like they already knew the story and had chosen sides. A woman approached me. "I'm so sorry for your loss," she said. "That child needs you now more than ever." I looked at her. "You don't know anything about us." She flinched. "I didn't mean." "I know," I said. "But meaning well doesn't fix lies." She walked away. The child tugged my sleeve. "Are we still a family?" I stared at the wall. Family. Blood. Truth. I thought of every bedtime story. Every school meeting. Every time they called me Dad and I felt proud. And I thought of her confession. The years of silence. The way everyone expected me to keep carrying a burden I never agreed to. "I don't know," I said honestly. They nodded slowly, like they were pretending to understand. That's when I realized something terrible. Everyone in that room wanted me to sacrifice myself again. And for the first time in my life, I didn't want to. I wanted the truth, even if it burned everything down. Chapter 3: Her Letters, Her Lies. I didn't go home that night. I sat in my car outside the hospital until the sun came up, staring at the dashboard like it might explain my life to me. My phone buzzed nonstop. Family. Friends. People who thought they knew what I needed. I turned it off. When I finally went home, the house felt wrong. Too quiet, too clean, like it was holding its breath. Her shoes were still by the door. Of course, I muttered. Why wouldn't they be? I walked into the bedroom and opened the closet. Her clothes hung there neatly, colors I had helped her choose. I pressed my face into one of her sweaters without thinking. Still smelled like her. I pulled back fast, angry at myself. No, I said out loud. Not today. That's when I saw the box. It was tucked on the top shelf, pushed all the way to the back. I had never seen it before. It was plain, brown, taped shut like she didn't want anyone opening it by accident. My hands shook as I pulled it down. Inside were envelopes, documents, a small notebook. My name was written on top of everything. I sat on the bed and opened the first letter. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I laughed bitterly. You got that part right. I kept reading. I know you hate me right now. I know you feel betrayed. I don't expect forgiveness. Then why are you still talking? I snapped at the paper. The letter went on. She wrote about fear, about loving two people, about not wanting to lose her life, her comfort, her image. Image. That word burned. You cared more about looking good than being honest, I said. I opened the next envelope. Bank statements, large transfers, accounts I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped. I flipped through them faster. Dates, amounts, years. This wasn't a mistake, I whispered. This was planned. The notebook was last. It was her handwriting, careful, organized, like she was keeping track of something important. It was a timeline. The affair didn't start when I thought it did. It started earlier, much earlier, back when we were still happy, back when I thought we were building something together. I read one entry out loud. He makes me feel alive. I hate myself for it. I slammed the notebook shut. You hated yourself, I said, but not enough to stop. I opened it again. Another entry. If I ever die, I hope you'll understand why I did what I did. I laughed, loud and sharp. Understand? You want understanding now? The last pages were worse. Plans, instructions, what to do with the money, how much should go to the child, what should go to him, what should go to me. My hands curled into fists. You decided everything, I said, even after death. I felt sick. There was a knock at the door. I froze. Another knock, louder. I opened it to see her sister standing there, eyes red, arms crossed. Why aren't you answering your phone? She demanded. Because I didn't want to, I said. She stepped inside without asking. Where's the child? With people who know what they're doing, I replied. Her eyes narrowed. Don't do this. Don't punish an innocent kid. I held up the notebook. Did you know? She hesitated. That was enough. You knew, I said quietly. She looked away. I thought she'd tell you. When? I snapped. At my funeral? She was scared. So was I said. Every day I trusted her. She pointed at the box. That money is for the child. It's stolen, I said. From my life. Her voice rose. You're being cruel. I stepped closer. No, I'm being honest. For the first time. She shook her head. You're not thinking straight. I've never been clearer. She grabbed her coat. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said. But at least it'll be my regret. After she left, I sat back down and stared at the letters. Each word felt like another betrayal. I didn't cry. I felt something colder than sadness. Clarity. She didn't confess to protect me. She confessed to clean her conscience. And she left me to deal with the damage. I closed the box and taped it shut again. Your lies end here, I said softly. That was the moment I stopped being her husband and started being myself. Chapter 4, The Decision That Changed Everything. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face from that hospital bed. Not sick, not dying, honest. And somehow that made it worse. By morning, my head hurt from thinking. My chest felt tight, like something heavy was sitting there and refusing to move. I made coffee and didn't drink it. Instead, I opened the box again. The letters, the notebook, the bank papers. I spread them across the table like evidence at a crime scene. "This isn't love," I said to the empty kitchen. "This is control." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, then answered. "Hello. This is Mr. Hale," a man said. "I'm calling regarding your wife's estate." "My wife is dead," I replied flatly. "So let's be clear." There was a pause. "I'm sorry for your loss." She left instructions. "I believe you'll want to review them." "When?" "Today, if possible." "Good," I said. "I'm tired of surprises." His office smelled like paper and old wood. He was polite, careful, the kind of man who spoke softly even when delivering bad news. He slid a folder toward me. "Your wife placed most assets under your name. However, there are trusts set aside." "For the child," I said. "Yes," he replied. "And for the biological father." I laughed without humor. "She was very organized. She believed this would protect everyone," he said. "Did she say that?" I asked. "Or are you assuming?" He cleared his throat. "She believed you would accept it. That's where she was wrong." He looked up. "Legally, you are entitled to reclaim the funds, especially if deception can be proven." "Can it?" I asked. He nodded. "Based on what you've shown me, yes." My hands tightened on the folder. "And the child?" I asked. "The child has rights," he said carefully. "But custody can be transferred to the biological family." I leaned back in the chair. This was it. The line. If I crossed it, there was no going back. "I raised that child," I said quietly. "I understand. I loved them." He didn't interrupt. "But I was lied to," I continued. "Every day, every smile, every thank you, Dad." He folded his hands. "What do you want to do?" The question echoed in my head. What did I want? Not revenge. Not pity. Truth. "I want my life back," I said. He nodded slowly. "Then we proceed." The pen felt heavier than it should have. I stared at the paper. My name. Her name. Words that would change everything. "You know," I said, "everyone keeps telling me to be kind." He looked at me. "And I was kind," I said. "For years." I signed. The ink dried fast. That was it. When I left the office, my phone rang again. Her sister. I answered this time. "You met the lawyer," she said. "Yes." "You're really going through with this?" "Yes." Her voice shook. "That child loves you." "I know," I said. "That's why this hurts." "Then why do it?" "Because love built on lies rots," I said. "And I refuse to rot with it." She cried. "She trusted you." I stopped walking. "She didn't. If she had, we wouldn't be here." Silence. "I'm done explaining myself," I said. "Take care." I hung up. That evening, I sat alone in the house one last time. I walked through each room, touched the walls, remembered laughter that now felt borrowed. I packed nothing. I left the box on the table. "Your plans end with me," I said aloud. For the first time since her confession, my chest felt lighter. I didn't feel proud. I felt free. And freedom, I learned, often looks like cruelty to people who benefited from your silence. Chapter 5, Sending Them Away. They told me the transfer would happen in the afternoon. I nodded like I was hearing about the weather. Inside, everything was screaming. I arrived early and sat in the waiting room with my hands folded so no one would see them shaking. The chairs were cold. The lights were too bright. Every sound felt sharp. The child walked in holding a small backpack. They smiled when they saw me. I packed my things. "Good," I said. My voice came out steady. I didn't recognize it. They sat next to me. "Are we going somewhere?" "Yes," I said. "Together." I looked straight ahead. "Not exactly." They waited. I didn't say more. After a few seconds, they whispered, "Did I make you mad?" I closed my eyes. "No." "Then why won't you look at me?" I turned to them slowly. If I looked too fast, I might break. "You didn't do anything wrong," I said. This is about adults making bad choices. They frowned. So why am I the one leaving? The question hung between us. I wish I had a better answer, I said. A woman approached us. Social worker. Calm voice. Soft smile. Are you ready? She asked. The child grabbed my arm. Ready for what? I swallowed. For a new place. They shook their head. I don't want a new place. I want home. Home. I felt something crack in my chest. This is home, they said, pointing at me. People were watching now. I could feel it. Judgment pressing in from every direction. Sir, the woman said gently. We can take a moment. No, I said. Let's do it. The child stood up fast. Do what? I knelt in front of them. My knees hurt. I didn't care. Listen to me, I said. You are going to stay with people who are connected to you. Like family? Yes, I said. Like that. They shook their head hard. You're my family. I nodded once. I was. Their eyes widened. Was? I forced the words out. I can't be anymore. They stared at me like I'd hit them. Why? They cried. What did I do? Nothing, I said quickly. Nothing. This isn't punishment. Then it feels like it, they said. It feels like you don't want me. The room went silent. I leaned closer. My voice dropped. I want the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts people who don't deserve it. They pulled away from me. Mom said you'd never leave. I flinched. She shouldn't have promised that, I said. Tears streamed down their face. She wouldn't lie. I stood up slowly. She did. About many things. The woman stepped in. We should go. The child looked at her, then back at me. Are you coming later? I shook my head. They screamed then, loud, raw, the kind of sound that comes from deep inside. I hate you, they yelled. I hate you. Every word cut. I know, I said quietly. They were pulled away, still crying, still reaching back toward me. Dad! They shouted one last time. I didn't answer. If I answered, I wouldn't survive it. When the doors closed, the silence was worse than the noise. A man behind me muttered, Heartless. I turned. You're welcome to raise them, I said. He looked away. Outside, the air felt thick. Couldn't breathe right. Her sister stormed toward me. How could you do that? I met her eyes. You helped lie to me. She slapped my chest. That was a child. And I was a husband, I said. We both lost. You'll regret this, she said. I already do, I replied. But regret doesn't mean wrong. She walked away crying. I stood there alone. No applause. No relief. Just an empty space where a life used to be. As I walked to my car, I finally understood something no one had told me. Doing what's right doesn't feel good. Feels like grief with your eyes open. And I drove away anyway. Chapter 6, The Lover's Fall. I didn't plan to meet him. I told myself that over and over as I stood outside the cafe, watching him through the window. He was laughing at something on his phone. Relaxed, untouched by the mess he helped create. He looked fine. That almost broke me. I walked in anyway. The bell over the door rang. He looked up. His smile faded the second he saw me. You, he said quietly. Me, I replied, sitting across from him without asking. He swallowed. I heard she passed. I'm sure you did. An awkward silence stretched between us. I'm sorry, he said, for your loss. I laughed under my breath. Don't insult me. He flinched. I didn't mean. You meant to sleep with my wife, I said. So let's not pretend you care now. People nearby glanced over. He lowered his voice. This isn't the place. It's fine, I said. I won't stay long. He shifted in his seat. What do you want? I looked him straight in the eyes. Nothing. I just wanted to see what regret looks like on you. He scoffed weakly. You think I don't regret it? Do you? I asked. Because you look comfortable. His jaw tightened. You don't know the whole story. I know enough, I said. I know you took money. I know you made plans. I know you were waiting. His face drained of color. What are you talking about? I pulled out a folded paper and placed it on the table. His bank statements. He stared at them like they might disappear. You went through her things, he said. I went through my life, I replied. You were all over it. He leaned back slowly. She told me you'd understand. I smiled without warmth. She was wrong a lot. You can't just take it all, he said. That money was for the child. I didn't take the child, I said. I gave them back. His eyes snapped up. You did what? They're with your family now, I said calmly. Where they belong. His hands started to shake. You had no right. I leaned forward. I had every right. You had none. He stood up halfway. You're ruining my life. I tilted my head. Funny. That's exactly what you helped do to mine. People were staring now. He sat back down, breathing hard. She loved me, he said suddenly. You know that, right? I nodded once. That's the tragedy. He looked confused. She loved you, I continued, and still chose to lie. That's not romance. That's weakness. His voice cracked. She promised we'd be together. She promised me a lot of things too, I said. Promises mean nothing without honesty. He rubbed his face. I'm drowning here. The money's frozen. Lawyers are calling. People are asking questions. I watched him carefully. This was the fall. Quiet. Undramatic. Real. I'm not doing this to you, I said. I just stopped protecting you. He looked up at me, eyes wild. What do you want from me? I stood. Nothing, I said again. That's the worst part. As I walked toward the door, he called out, Don't you want me to suffer? I paused. I wanted answers once, I said over my shoulder. Now I want peace. Outside, the air felt lighter. Behind me, his life was collapsing piece by piece. Not because I pushed it, but because it had no truth holding it up. I didn't feel joy. I felt finished. And for the first time since her confession, that was enough. Chapter 7. The weight of what I did. The quiet came later. Not right away. Not when I drove home or packed my things or changed my number. It came at night, when there was nothing left to distract me. I lay on the floor of my new place, staring at the ceiling. No photos, no furniture, just me and my thoughts. You did the right thing, I told myself. The ceiling didn't answer. Sleep came in short bursts. Every time I drifted off, I heard the same voice. Dad. I sat up, heart racing, and rubbed my face. This is the cost, I whispered. A few days later, I met Daniel. He worked at the hardware store downstairs. I needed light bulbs. I didn't care what kind. You look like hell, he said after ringing me up. I blinked. Nice to meet you too. He shrugged. Long week. You could say that. He handed me the receipt. Beer after work? I almost said no. Instead, I said yes. We sat outside on plastic chairs. The beer was warm. I didn't complain. Daniel took a sip. You don't talk much. I used to, I said. Didn't help. He nodded. Yeah, talking's overrated. We sat in silence for a while. Then he said, You look like someone who made a choice everyone hates. I laughed softly. That obvious? People who do the easy thing don't carry that face, he said. I stared at the bottle. What if the right choice makes you the villain? He didn't answer right away. Then you live with it, he said finally. Better than living with a lie. The words settled heavy in my chest. That night, the doubts came harder. I replayed the child's face, the cafe, her sister's words. Heartless, cruel, monster. I sat on the edge of the bed and pressed my fists into my eyes. Was I wrong? I asked the empty room. I thought of staying, of pretending, of raising a child built from betrayal. I shook my head. No, I said. I would have disappeared. The next morning, I saw a message from an unknown number. They're asking about you. The child keeps asking why you left. My hands trembled. I typed a reply. Tell them I wasn't strong enough to lie anymore. I deleted it. I typed again. Tell them I hope they're safe. I sent that one. Daniel saw me later that day. You look worse. Progress, I said. He smiled faintly. You regret it? I thought for a long moment. I regret that it had to happen, I said. Not that I did it. He nodded. That's how you know. That night I finally cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just tears, quiet and steady, like something leaking out of me at last. I cried for the child, for the man I was, for the life that could have been real if honesty had shown up sooner. When the tears stopped, something else remained. Acceptance. Not peace. Not forgiveness. Just the knowledge that I chose myself when no one else did. And I would have to carry that weight alone. But I could carry it. Chapter 8: A Life Without Lies. I didn't wake up one day feeling better. There was no clean line between broken and healed. No morning where the pain packed its bags and left. What changed was quieter than that. I stopped explaining myself. When people asked, "How are you holding up?" I said, "I'm standing." When they asked, "Do you regret it?" I said, "I accept it." Most of them didn't know what to do with those answers. They wanted tears or anger or a story they could repeat to others. I gave them nothing. I moved again. This place was smaller. One bedroom, one window, no extra space for ghosts. I sold the furniture that carried her shape and donated the rest. I didn't keep a single thing that belonged to her. Not because I hated her, because I was done pretending. While unpacking, I found an old photo stuck behind a drawer. The three of us, sunlight in our eyes, smiling like people who believed in something solid. I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it once, twice, and dropped it into the trash. I didn't need reminders of a story that wasn't true. Daniel came by with paint and cheap brushes. We worked without music, just the sound of bristles on walls. You're different, he said. I stopped rehearsing answers, I replied. He nodded. That'll do it. At night, I started walking the neighborhood. No phone, no headphones, just my breath and the rhythm of my steps. When memories came, I didn't fight them. Some nights, the child's face appeared so clearly it hurt. I hope you're safe, I whispered into the dark. That was all I allowed myself. A letter came one afternoon. No name, no address. They're settling in, asking fewer questions. My hands shook, but my chest didn't collapse. That was enough. I stopped checking social media, stopped listening when people whispered my name, stopped caring whether they thought I was cold or cruel. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying someone else's lie on my back. I bought a cheap chair and placed it by the window. Every morning, I sat there with coffee and watched people rush past, chasing lives that looked simple from a distance. Daniel caught me smiling once. There it is, he said. There what? The look people get when they finally choose themselves. I thought about it. Peace, he shrugged. Close enough. One evening, I passed the old house without meaning to. Lights on. A different family inside. Laughter that wasn't mine. I didn't stop. I didn't owe that place anything. As I walked away, I felt something open inside me. Not happiness. Not victory. Just space. And in that space I could finally breathe. Chapter 9: What Remains of Me. I never imagined life would look like this. Not this quiet. Not this bare. Not this empty. And yet, somehow it felt like the first time in years I was breathing freely. I sat by the window, the cheap chair creaking beneath me, watching people go about their lives, rushing past without noticing me. Some smiled at friends, some scowled at strangers, some cried into their phones. All of them alive in ways I used to be too. I thought about the child. Their small hands, the way they looked at me like I was their whole world. I had sent them away. And yet, I couldn't bring myself to regret it completely. I had been trapped in lies for years. I wasn't going to let someone else's betrayal define the rest of my life. Sometimes I hear their voice in my head, a quiet echo. Dad. I don't answer. Not anymore. I can't. That voice belongs to someone else now. And so do they. I thought about my wife too. Her face in the hospital bed. The confession that had torn my life apart. For a long time I had hated her. I had hated everything she had done and everything she hadn't told me. But hatred is heavy. and I was tired of carrying weight that wasn't mine. I rose from the chair and walked through the apartment. No furniture, no photos, no reminders of the life I lost. Just me. Just space. Just truth. I picked up my phone. No calls, no messages, no distractions. I stared at the blank screen. I wanted to tell someone, maybe anyone, that I was still here, that I survived. But I didn't. I didn't know anyone my story. Not anymore. Outside, the sky darkened. Streetlights flickered on. The city continued, uncaring. I let it. I thought about the money, the betrayal, the revenge, the choices I had made. I had taken back what was mine. I had returned the child to where they belonged. The other man's life was crumbling under the weight of his own deceit. Karma had a way of catching up. And yet none of that felt like victory. It felt inevitable, necessary. I closed my eyes and breathed in. The apartment smelled faintly of paint and coffee. I felt the small, steady rhythm of my heartbeat, my pulse, my life. There would be nights of regret. There would be moments when memories would hit me like a fist. But I had something now that I didn't have before. Honesty. My honesty. My choices. My freedom. I opened the window and let the cold air brush my face. It was sharp, real. It reminded me that I was alive, that I could feel, that I could choose. I thought about the life I might have had, the family, the love, the lies, and I let it go. No revenge, no guilt, no pretending, just me. I smiled faintly, a small, fragile thing, and whispered into the quiet apartment. This is what remains of me, and it's enough. The city hummed outside. Life moved on, and so did I.